So, hi, my name is Greg. I work for a company called Twilio, and I want to talk about how I taught my dog to send selfies. And the real goal of this talk is to introduce some of you to hardware hacking. How many of you have done any hardware hacking with Arduino or anything similar before? Okay, so two. How many of you want to at some point? Right. And how many of you maybe haven't gotten into it because maybe you're a little intimidated by it, you don't want to learn something new? You know, it's a lot. None of you? Okay. A little bit? All right, how many of you know Python? All right, great. Cool. So 2 months ago, I didn't know Arduino, and I didn't know any Python. And now my dog can send selfies. I discovered this thing called the Arduina Yun. I'll tell you a little bit of the story of how that happened. But the Arduino Yun runs Python. It comes with Python pre-installed. And so if you know Python, then you can now build hardware hacks using the language that you already know. I think we just lost video up here. Oh, is it just, got it. Well, we'll see what happens if that comes back on. So I've got a video here I'll show you. Oh my gosh. Let's try this. There we go. Let me do this. There's this awesome little presenter hack for those of you who give talks called caffeine, which gives your system caffeine, which means it will never turn off or go to sleep, which is very useful to turn on before you get up to present. All right, so first, since I'm in a room of nerds, I want to geek out with my nerd friends because 85% of the people in my life will not understand this accomplishment right here. I wrote this blog post last week, how I taught my dog to send me selfies. About 4 hours ago before I came here, I submitted it to Hacker News, and currently it's writing like number 3 on Hacker News, with Facebook dominating the top 2 spots. So this has been awesome. This is basically what I've been doing for the last 4 hours, is refreshing the page here. Which makes preparing for a talk, like, it's the worst thing you could possibly do if you're trying to prepare for a talk. But I think it's worked out, so that's been a blast today. So, all right, so let me tell you a little story about my dog. This is Kyra, and she's about 2 years old. We got her when she's about 12 weeks. And turns out Kyra is pretty trainable. And so a couple weeks after we got her, I was laying in bed, and I realized that we had this lamp in our bedroom, and it's activated by a floor switch, and I didn't want to get out of bed to turn it off. And I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could teach Kyra to turn it off? And so it's just a little switch that you step on. So what I started doing is I just took her paw, I put it on, I gave her a treat, and I'd say light. And once she realized that if she just touched it, she'd get a treat, then she would do that automatically. And then I'd just wait, and I'd push her paw down until she heard the click, and I'd give her a treat. And over time, we got to the point where we could do this. I don't know if this audio doesn't really matter here, but. So I'm going to give her the sign. I'm going to say treat. And she's going to run over here. Yes. She's going to turn the light on, and then, of course, you need her to turn it off, so she'll do the same thing. Now, the problem here is that she got really good at this, and she learned that basically if she turned the light on and off, that she was going to get a treat, whether I told her to or not, because it's so cute, I can't say no. So we'd just be like laying in bed, in the middle of the night, and like the light starts turning on and off because Kyra got hungry. But often the best hacks are just combinations of really simple components, right? You break down the most complicated thing you've ever built, and it's just a bunch of simple building blocks stacked on top of each other. And so after we did this, I start thinking, I've got a dog that can press a button. Like, what can you do with that? And so last year, I work for a company called Twilio. We're based out in San Francisco. We're known best for making it really easy for developers to send and receive text messages and to place and receive phone calls from your app. So like 5 lines of code, you can send text messages from your app in whatever language you write it. And last year, we launched MMS. And around that same time, I was reading, a couple months later, I was reading one of my, I serve as a developer evangelist. One of the other evangelists wrote a post about training his dog with a Tessel, which is kind of like an Arduino. And I was like, man, I wonder if I could teach my dog to send selfies. Long story short, yes, I can. And the reason this is possible is because I discovered this thing called an Arduino Yun. I had never played with Arduinos before, but I knew that one of the the limitations of the typical Arduino is that it's not Wi-Fi enabled. So you build this really cool thing, but you can't actually hook it up to the internet. The Arduino Yun solves that problem. So the Arduino Yun actually has 2 microprocessors on it. It has the microprocessor that you associate with Arduino stuff, interacting with the hardware, and then it has a second microprocessor that runs a very stripped down version of Linux called OpenWRT. And then it also has Wi-Fi on it. And so the OpenWRT comes with Python pre-installed on it, but you could also install Ruby or Node on there. So this is super powerful because the Android programming language is based off of Java, which I kind of hate. And Python is way more accessible. I'm mostly a Ruby guy, but I started learning Python just so I could do this. And it's been great. What it basically does is it opens up the world of hardware hacking to web developers. It just significantly reduces the barrier to entry, and it lets you build these hardware hacks that can interact with any API. I mean, like thousands of APIs out there, and it just gives you this incredible leverage for your hardware project. So your Arduino is going to have 3 ports on it. It has an Ethernet port, which you probably won't use because you'll be connected via Wi-Fi, but then it has a micro USB, which is where it gets its power from, and then a USB port. It has the pins that you would associate with an Arduino for those of you who have played with it. Those look like. And so when you start up your Arduino, it's going to create its own Wi-Fi hotspot because you haven't yet configured it to connect to a Wi-Fi. So this is a picture I found on Reddit of what happens at an Arduino Yun hackathon. And then so it sets up, you connect to it, and then it says, there's a little screen and admin panel you go to. You choose which Wi-Fi network you want to use, punch in the password, you restart it, and then you get to this point, you do this really cool thing, which is SSH into your Arduino. So I have my selfie device right here. So pro tip, well, not a pro tip, amateur tip. Local cigar shops sell empty cigar boxes for like $2. I got this at Benny's, and they had stacks of these things. They're just trash to them, but they're awesome for hardware enclosures. So I got this button here. This button is costs $10 on Adafruit, and then inside of here is an Arduino and just a super simple circuit, and we'll show you in just a little bit what that looks like. All right, so I am currently through my terminal here SSH'd into this little $70 computer right here. All right, so we're going to do some live coding and show you how we built this app. All in, the goal at the end is going to be to press this button, take a picture of y'all with this webcam, and text it to all your phones. Okay? So we're going to need you to pull your phones out because we're going to need some audience interaction here. All right, and we're going to do this. We're going to start backwards. All right, first we're going to look at how do we send text messages. Then we're going to look at how do we send picture messages. And then we'll look at how do we take a picture with the Arduino and then send that to your phones, all right? Sound good? All right, so I'm on my Yun here. And so first, let me just introduce you to Twilio real quick. And this is where we're going to start. So I went on to Twilio. And by the way, if with the screen thing here, if y'all can't read it or whatever, just let me know. So I bought a phone number, a Twilio phone number here. This will cost you $1 a month to get a phone number. You can get it in pretty much any area code you want. And I'm just going to set up this is like, I almost didn't do this because it's kind of like a distraction, but I just want to show you, basically I want to get your phone numbers so that I can use them in the demo later on and sell you insurance later and stuff. And so I'm just going to set up this really quick responder. Basically what I'm going to have you do is text this phone number that I just bought, and I'm going to respond with a message that just says, thanks for the text. All right, and so that's what it takes basically to reply to a text message is, 4 lines of XML. And this TWIML bin is just a place where you can host XML, static XML for the use in Twilio application. So I'm just dropping that URL for this piece of XML that I just created in there. All right, so if you can pull out your phones and send a text, please don't be profane, because I'm probably going to display these on screen, to 312-313-1672. And it's 312-313-1672. And tell me if you get a reply. This is the most nerve-wracking part of the presentation, by the way, is the gap in between telling people to do that and working. You got a reply? All right, as soon as we get one, we know that we're in good shape. All right, so y'all have just sent a bunch of text messages into the Twilio number. So now Twilio has all of your phone numbers there, and we're going to use those through the rest of the demo to do this stuff. So what I'm going to do here is, so I'm on my Yun, and the Yun has an external SD card on it. So I have a 4 gigabyte SD card plugged into the thing, which just, by the way, it's just like crazy that you can actually purchase 4 gig of storage for like $12. All right, so I'm going to come into my code directory here, my Arduino, and I'm going to create a new file here called send sms.py. What do you guys call it? .py? .py? Yeah? All right. I'm going to come over to my Twilio dashboard, and I need my account credentials, right? So just like most APIs that you interact with, I'm going to have an account SID. I'm going to have an auth token. And by the way, like I said, I'm fairly new to Python, so if you all see me making some sort of ridiculous or simple error, whatever it is, please tell me. We'll save us all some time. All right, so I'm going to come into my phone number. I'm just going to copy and paste my phone number so that I have this. So say Twilio phone number equals that. All right, so then I need to import Twilio. We'll say import Twilio REST client. And then I need to create a new client. So we'll say client is equal to Twilio REST client, and I just need to pass to it my account credentials. All right, like that. And now what I want to do is I want to go grab all the text messages that have been sent to my Twilio account. All right, so that's pretty easy. I just want to pull a list a list of all the messages that were sent to my Twilio phone number. All right, and then I'm going to iterate through each one of those messages, and I'm going to grab from there the number. And I'm going to grab the body of the message, and then we'll just print those out. Yeah, you know, it's weird, right? Because from is like a reserved word in Python, so if I don't put that underscore on there, then it throws a syntax error, since it's an attribute on an array. I thought the same thing. I was like 15 times. I was like, that's got to be a mistake there. Thank you for pointing that out. But yeah, I thought the same thing. All right, so here we're going to go number, and we'll just say, boom, body. All right, so let's see if we did this right. So let's do Python send SMS. We're not sending anything yet. We're just going to grab your messages and output them to the screen here. All right, so burp, that's better than the poop that we typically get. Hello world. All right, cool. So thank you all. Anytime we do this at a hackathon with like 400 college students, you kind of like hit the button and cover your eyes, you know? Or like you hit the button and you hold Command K so you can clear it really fast. So I really appreciate everyone being well behaved there. All right, so we have your phone numbers. Let's send y'all a text message, right? So we're gonna, we don't need this body anymore. And we can probably, we'll keep this print, but we'll just delete, we'll just print out the number. And then we'll use our client. We'll do client.messages.create. So we did a message before where we were getting a list. Now we're creating a new text message. So say the 2 is equal to your number. Okay, the from, and we have to do the thing again. The from is equal to our Twilio phone number. All right, and the body is just going to be, we'll say hello from Django Nuts. Did I spell that right? All right, cool. What's that? Thank you very much. Good catch. All right, cool. So we'll do that. We'll try this one more time. And we'll go through. It should print all your numbers as it goes through and send these off so we get a little bit of a status update. And y'all's phone should start blowing up here in just a second. So, like I said, for about the first like 6-7 years of our company, as far as text messages go, this is all we could do. We could just send text messages, right? Last year, we were super excited. We started being able to do picture messages. And so let me show you what's involved in doing that, all right? So first, I'm going, for the sake of correct file names, we're going to copy this to send mms.py, and we'll edit that one. And we're going to make a pretty huge change here, which is to say we're going to add a parameter. That's a good point, actually. Sorry, guys. And ladies, my apologies. Your numbers are living on forever on the internet. All right, so I have a picture of Kyra here. So in order to send a picture, we need a publicly accessible URL. And so let me grab this one of Kyra here, right there. And that's it. So sending a text message, or sending oh, you know what? There is one thing that I better add on here. I should have done this before. So some people's phones, some people's carriers don't like MMS. And so Twilio will throw an error here. And if you don't put it's try except, right? If you don't put this on here, then sometimes things will fail and it will like break everything. So we just want to make sure we get everyone. All right, so now let's try, we'll do Python send MMS. We'll see what happens here. And this is my good time for my little warning about, let's see, is that right? Okay, cool. About MMS. Next to carrier pigeons, MMS is about the slowest possible way to send data. So if you're using Twilio for this, you're gonna, when you're sending text messages, you're gonna get used to that text message coming fairly quickly. When you're sending MMS, there's often a bit of a delay there. Now, the second time that you send the same picture, it's gonna go a little bit faster because Twilio is gonna cache that picture for you and we're gonna rescale it for you. So the second, third time you send the same file, it's gonna come through. It'll take a little bit less time, but often. I hear some phones beeping. Are we getting, you got pictures? All right, got pictures of my dog? Excellent. All right, cool. Okay, so we got the first part, or really the last part down. We're sending picture messages to your phone. Now what we need to do is take it on this camera, all right, and then do the button press thing. So let me show you how the picture taking from the camera works. This is super easy. I was really surprised. And again, remember we're SSH'd into the Arduino here. So this is a utility called FS Webcam. Carl, are you familiar with this? Have you ever seen this? All right. So it takes two parameters. One is what's the file name that you are, like where are you saving this? And this, oh, thank you. Nice catch. This is like pair programming with a dozen people. And then the second one is just the resolution. And just like my webcam, this webcam costs 25 bucks, by the way. So you can get it on Amazon. But I'm going to take in a lower resolution just so the file sends a little bit faster. So I do that. I get a little bit of text here. Oh, I should have had y'all smile. Here, let's do this one more time. We'll do it proper. Okay. All right, so smile. All right, great. And so I saved that to pic. Oh, it's in this directory down. So pic.jpg, y'all can see that there. So if I wanted to, I could pop the SD card out and plug it into my computer, and y'all could see that picture. But we're going to see it in just a second anyway, so you can just hopefully trust me for a couple minutes that it actually just took a picture there. All right, so in order to send an MMS, we need a publicly accessible URL. All right, so Twilio has to reach out and grab that. Anything that's on my Yun is not publicly accessible, right? Because it's hiding behind the router and whatnot. It doesn't have, there are ways around that. You can fix it. You can open up a tunnel to it. But it's probably easier just to use an API to upload that file somewhere else, and then we'll point Twilio there. So I use Dropbox for this. You could also use S3 or say like Imgur for files, or there's infinite file storage solutions. But I'm going to use Dropbox. So I want to create a new one, a new file here called upload to Dropbox. Oops. Oh man, got a little bit of lag here. Dropbox. This does make things a little bit more difficult. All right, I think, there we go. All right, cool. All right, before I do this, ahead of time here, I just went to, Dropbox has really good API. They have excellent docs, and I created a Dropbox app. This just took a couple steps. It was like 2 minutes between sign up and whatnot. But for the sake of just time, I kind of skipped through that. And then once you get to your app page here, you can come down and it has an access token. And in the Dropbox world, this access token serves as both your account SID and your auth token, right? So it both identifies and authenticates your app for you. So I'm going to save that over here. So we'll just say access token is equal to that. Before I use that, though, in the context of what I'm doing here, I'm going to save my file to the same file name and overwrite it every time on here. But when we upload it, let's just give it a unique name. So let's import the date time library, and then let's create a timestamp and say, and we'll just do datetime dot now, and we'll just format that. And this really doesn't matter, but let's do, what is it? I think it's capital HMS. Cool. And then we'll give it a file name, Django Knots dash, and we'll add on there the timestamp. All right, and just for the sake of making our mistakes early or catching our mistakes early, we'll just print out that file name and we'll just run this real quick and see if that works. Python. All right, cool. So it's a file name. It's going to be updated every time that we run this thing. All right, so let's come back here and we'll get rid of this. And let's actually connect to the Dropbox API. So in order to do this, we'll need to import our Dropbox client. And then, make sure I got this right. All right, cool. And then we'll do, well, in the same way that we did with Twilio, we create a client. And we'll just pass in our access token. And then we'll open up our file. So I'm sure you all have done this many times in Python. And it's just a JPEG file. And then all we need to do for Dropbox is run this put file command, and we have to tell it what the new file name is and what the file is. And this will give us back a response. And just so y'all can see what that response looks like, we'll do that. And so we'll upload our file. As you can see, we get a hash back. And if I come over here in my, so this is my Dropbox folder. When you create an app, it creates directories for each one of yours. And here is the file that we took. Oh man, that's not a great picture. But that's all right, we'll have other chances to get this right. All right, so that's cool. So now, one problem that we have here, we still don't have a publicly accessible URL. All right, but there was, I can pull it back up, but there was one of the values in here was called path. So we're going to grab that path. And then all we need to do to get a URL is call this media command, media method here. And we just need to pass to it the path. And then one of the values that comes back out of there is going to be a URL. All right, and just so we can see that, we'll do that. Run that again. It's going to upload the file again, and we might actually be able to watch that in real time as that hits. Oh, shoot. Let's pull that back up. Well, we probably lost it at this point. Okay, well, there you go. So there's our file again. And then we come back here, we can see that we have now a publicly accessible URL. We can drop that in. And so this is great. So now we have a URL that Twilio can use. So now all we need to do is a little Voltron action and combine our two scripts together, right? So I'm going to copy our upload to Dropbox. We're going to call this upload and send. That's going to be our Voltron file. And so that's our Dropbox thing. So that's we're uploading. That results in getting a URL. And then we'll just cat our Twilio to the end of that. And then we'll open that thing up. And here we go. So this is where the one ends, print URL. So we can probably, well, we'll just leave that in there. It doesn't really matter. We're going to do all the same thing that we did before. The big difference here is that instead of sending you the pre-configured picture of my dog, we're going to send you the picture that is currently URL equals on the Yun here. All right, so let's see. Did I do that right? Yeah. It's a great idea. Let's do that. So let's do that. I guess I can just pull it like this. Now, okay, so like I said, I'm new to Python. So if I want to add something here, I can just do it down here, right? Oh. So you want it here? Oh, in the accept. Gotcha. Oh, so that if it didn't work. Yeah, for sure. That makes sense. We could do that. A little grief. If y'all have an extra 2 minutes and you want to talk me through how to do that in Python, I would be happy to do. Are you guys? Are you willing to teach me? All right. So I'm going to drop that in right here, right? Okay. Print number. Okay. Okay. Colon. Doesn't really matter as long as we don't get the whole thing. This is right, or? Move the pass. Okay. Remove it. Okay. Good? Everyone's okay? All right. Thank you. All right. Well, hey, that's the same thing. All right. So let's see. Here we go. So Python, upload and send. We'll see what happens. All right, so we're not going to get all the status updates. So if everybody's number, okay, so we get the URL. So if everyone's number works, then we're going to see nothing, right? So somebody's phone didn't work. It's not yours, so that's all that matters, as long as yours is good. So it looks like most of y'all's are going to be okay. So this will probably take a couple minutes, and then we'll go from there. So, all right, cool. So one number failed. Which is expected. I don't know why that is. Seems like most of the major carriers work okay, but there's some there's some other carriers where it just doesn't work. All right, so you got the picture you expected? All right, cool. Okay, so here's the problem. Everything that we've done so far, we did not need an Arduino for. I've basically been SSH'd into a Linux machine. Could have done all this on my laptop, right, without the lag and whatever, and we would have actually had syntax highlighting in Vim and et cetera, et cetera. So let's see how to make this happen and actually hook this up to hardware, okay? Now, there's not very many. I'm sorry, I keep trying to not say you guys. Would you all like to come up here and just see what the circuit looks like real quick? Because it's really simple. And we don't have very many people here, so we can do this kind of thing, all right? It isn't, yeah, it's an easy button. All right, so for those of you who aren't coming up, is the second example in the Getting Started to Arduino guide, okay? It is like, how do you use a button to turn on a light? And I have a really simple program installed on the Arduino right now. So there's an LED on board here. So if I press this button, you can see the LED blinks, all right? And I have that set up more for my own peace of mind when I'm doing this demo, so I know that my wires didn't come unplugged when I brought it up on stage. But I'll show you what the code looks like to make that blink, and then we'll add a little code to that to run our Python scripts that we just had. So any questions about this? Good? All right. Cool. All right, so here is Arduino, and my apologies for, Arduino doesn't have a way to make it look bigger, so you kind of have to like do it this way. Can you all see that? All right, cool. Okay, so this is the code that's running on the Arduino right now. So for those of you who haven't played with it before, Arduino programs, they're called sketches. They have two primary components. The first is the setup. So the setup is run once when you first upload your sketch to the board, and then the loop runs thousands of times a second after that. Okay? So right now, all of our loop is doing is it's waiting for a button press. Up there, we defined that we said pin 7 is our button, and so it's just basically waiting and saying when so it's saying read from the button, so it's basically just read from pin 7, and if it's high, which means that the circuit is completed, then blink the LED. And we just have a method down here to blink the LED, which basically just, we also define the LED up there for the, as 13, so it's saying complete the circuit to 13, pause for 2 seconds, and then turn it back off, all right? So this is, like I said, this is example number 2 is how you hook up a button. The hello world of the Arduino world is blink. It's just making a light flash on and off. So this is the same thing, just with a button press attached to it. All right, so there are 2 things here that are unique to the Arduino Yun. So the Arduino Yun has, as I said before, 2 processors on it. And the way that those 2 processors communicate with each other is via the bridge library. All right, so that's what the bridge means. And then process is a helper library that lets you execute processes on the Linux machine, on the Linux chip. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create 2 new methods, or functions, I guess, is more correct. One is going to be called take picture. And take picture is going to, we're going to create a new, I have my cheat sheet right down here. We're going to create a new process. All right, and then we're going to say, we're going to start the process, or define the process by saying fs webcam. All right, so that's the command that we ran to take a picture. And then we're going to add a parameter to it. It's like we did before, that is the file name. And then we're going to add a parameter that is the resolution. All right, and then we run it. And the nice thing about this process, there's actually 2 different ways that you can run these processes. One is synchronously and one is asynchronously. So the run runs it synchronously because we want it to finish taking the picture before we go on to the next thing. All right, and then we'll do one more. We'll call this one upload and send. And this one is even simpler. And this, again, is just the real beauty of the Yun, is that all I need to do here is just execute Python and pass to it. Sorry, that's probably, is that easier to see? So then we'll add a parameter of the directory where my script is located. Arduino /upload and send.py, and then we'll run that. All right. And now, instead of just blinking the LED, thank you very much. Nice catch. All right, so take picture, and then upload and send. And before we upload this, we can run this, we can click the little checkbox up there, and let's zoom out here. And it will tell us if we have any syntax errors, so it says it's done compiling. So we will now upload this to the Yun. Just because I have it plugged in, this is going over the USB cable, but often this is where it's getting its power from. But I don't know if I have it around me. I just have one of those USB adapters, you know, the USB to wall outlet. And that's where I have this powered when my dog's actually using it. I just plug it right into the wall and set it down. And then you can update the software over the Wi-Fi as well. So, okay. What's that? You know what? Yeah, you know those USB batteries, so like that will charge your phone. So I was using that, and it will power the Yun, but I don't think there was enough juice to power the webcam. And I didn't investigate it much further than that. I can get the Yun to turn on like SSH into it, but whenever I was pressing it, I couldn't get the webcam to fire. I'm sure if you knew more about, what's that thing called? Voltmeter? I'm sure if you knew more about that, you could diagnose it. Anyway, all right, we're gonna try to get a better picture. Someone want to come up and press the button? You can play the role of Kyra. All right, so I have no treats, but there's beer in the back if you want them. All right, 1, 2, 3. I just saw the green light flash on. All right, and so it's taking the picture. It's going to upload it to Dropbox. You all saw like the delay on that. So hopefully your phones start blowing up in about 60 seconds. And that's it. You know, all in, this whole thing is about 60 lines of code. It's less. I think it's like 55 lines of code. Are those phones ringing? No, not yet. Okay. And most of that code is in Python. It's in a language that you already know, which is super exciting. As a Rubyist or as Python, you're getting them? No? All right, cool, rock on. That makes me so happy. So the language you already know, and we're literally talking about the getting started guides with the Arduino. You can start hardware hacking, which is just so encouraging to me how much the barrier to entry has been lowered on these things. So little plug, if you are into this sort of thing, we're hosting a conference out in San Francisco. It's called Signal, and we're going to have 2 days of some just amazing speakers. Harper Reed, who most of you probably have at least heard of from here in town. He's going to be out there speaking. And we're going to just be talking about the technologies that developers are using to change the way that the world communicates. And so we'd love to have you. There's a promo code. I didn't put it up here, but let me know. We'll give you 20% off of your ticket fee. It's in May. And this is going to be an awesome time. And if you have any questions, you want to chat at all about the stuff we're doing, I'd love to chat. Here's my info. So thank you very much.